Hello there and welcome everyone. It is time. Finally, we are ready to start off on a new glorious campaign. This time, we are going to be playing Galactic Civilization III. And the one thing I love most about this game that I know, at least from what I understand so far, because technically I have not completed an actual campaign of this just yet. I only played about half a campaign when first the game came out, and then played small little bits here and there, mainly for preparing for this Let's Play that we're about to do and partake in. So, I am still relatively a nub at this game. Very inexperienced, but I was going to say what I love about this game. Well, mainly it's the fact that you can create your own custom race there, essentially there. I haven't looked too much into the modding potentials there, but they have like inbuilt kind of systems there where you can easily upload your own pictures and like create your own custom race, give them their own unique traits, at least within the limitations of the game itself there. But you can upload your pictures there to basically make any race that you can imagine reality. Modding, I imagine, will give you a lot more flexibility there, but I am not really fluent in that. But with that said, Galactic Civilization, for this Let's Play here, I am going to take part with a new race to the addition of that is of my very own, essentially, to go up against all the other civilizations that are basically stock with the game there, including the DLC. I ended up getting that in preparation for this. So, without further ado, let me show you what I have in mind. Meet the Cricoid Expanse. They are essentially a bug-like type creature there. I put a little bit of time trying to figure them out, develop like at least the starting few ships there. I did not go anywhere past the colony ship and like the scout ships essentially there, so we're going to be working on that as we go along. Once we get the weaponry and the bigger size ships, that is. But like I said, I got the DLC for, what is it, the Snotty Revenge. I have no idea what they are about, so this is going to make for an interesting time. Although, I think it's safe to say they are a very aggressive race, so this could very easily get me killed there, depending on how this works out. But a quick description of what I have in mind with this race here. Essentially, let me get my train of thought there. Essentially, I made them emphasize on the focus on the rapid growth, basically insectoid type of creature there, considering how my Star Drive video was like the Opera's Hive, which is essentially insects, robotic insects, mind there, but they were still like insects there that are really, basically really unified in their like drive forward essentially, so they suffered no morale issues. So, and if you've been paying attention to any of my videos in the past there, you may realize I am starting to get a little bit of a bias towards like insectoid type creatures there, which I'm going to blame entirely on Star Drive 2 there by playing the Operas, because when I did my video on, what is it, Deadlock 2 there, I ended up being the main race there was the Chit-Chit, which essentially was insectoid creatures which had incredible growth in that sense. When I played Masters of Orion, I think it was the Kry'klons, I can't remember the names, they're also insectoid race, which was my main preference. So I am starting to get a bit of a bias towards insectoid creatures, so yeah. But before I continue further, actually I want to kind of give a shout out to FirstKeeper there, that's the name she goes by there, who on DeviantArt, who actually made this picture here that I'm going to be using for this campaign for the Kry'klons. I did crop it out and get everything all assembled there, and I'm just using like a Galactic Civilization background for it there, but this is originally her art there, and I'm going to be using that for this campaign to represent this race, so I'm going to give a shout out to her there. And if you're interested, I'm going to put like description and a link down below in the text there as well, for any who may be interested. But let me just talk about what traits I give in this race here. I gave them productive because the idea, of course, is they're a unified type of insectoid race, so they are very focused on their tasks, so they're going to get boosts to production. They're going to be good farmers in the process, which is kind of the normal theme I've been noticing with the other insectoid creatures. and they're going to be rapid growth. They're going to have like high, like I gave them +2 to fertility there. They're going to grow incredibly quickly there compared to the other races. They are kind of insectoid creatures, the same concepts. There's going to be a lot of workers, drones, that kind of hierarchy I essentially gave it in the basics there. And of course, I gave them content, or they're being content +2 there for the morale. It's basically on the same kind of theme there, although we're gonna, any morale negatives that we're gonna run into there, probably at this point with the history of this type of race, we're gonna just assume it's based on the fact that, what is it, the infrastructure is not like perfect in the sense, because after all, even if you're in a mindless drone there, if you can't get a proper good night's sleep in, you're still going to be hindered in your effectiveness. So that's my, for any negative morale, that's what I'm going to roleplay it as far as this trait here. I gave him influential because I figured, hey, as I develop more in this race here, I think I might be trying to go for an influential type of growth victory here. It's only a +1 bonus, mind you. But if I'm going to have massive size and emphasis on like growing my empire there as quickly as possible, it seems appropriate to try and take full advantage of that by expanding the influence as I do so in the process. Mind you, I have not completed a proper campaign. I have no idea how this is going to work out. This could easily backfire on me. But for negative traits, I gave them unpopular because tourism might not be the most popular thing, considering that the workers themselves are going to be pretty single-minded, and their big negative will be they're unadventurous, so they're going to be hindered quite a bit about how far away they can travel from a world. So this could easily bite me in the ass there, but with the necessity of being influential, which means getting lots of star bases to help boost that there, and grabbing almost every world that I can there, especially with these abilities that I've given them there. I took adaptable, which allows them to basically colonize on almost every world essentially there. I don't know what the exception, what's not included here, but aquatic, frozen, barren worlds they'll live on, and they're patriotic, which makes them immune to large empire approval penalties, which kind of fits, considering I want them to be large, populated worlds. They got the food, they got the fertile, and it stacks pretty well with the boost to morale here. And finally, with the last bit of points, I made them organized, because obviously they are unified in their cause. They still need to work on the backstory a little bit more, which leaves potential for more things I can do as this Let's Play goes on. May think about doing some short story narrative as this goes on. We will have to see. But the homeworld is Kry'klon, or did I even pronounce my own name right there for this homeworld? Kry'klon? I am not entirely sure. I just rushed the homeworld's name there essentially, and everything else is what's well developed. Our leader will be High Lord Kry'klon, which is actually inspired from World of Warcraft there. There was like a blade dancer, I think his name there, from the Mist and Pandaria expansion, and I have fought alongside him quite a bit there during part of the quest, and he goes by the name Kry'klon, so that's the inspiration for the Hive Lord's name here. But otherwise, I talked about enough about the race. We are going to get into this colony here. I'm thinking of putting like every single opponent in here, so I want a nice relatively large size world. So I think I want huge. I think gigantic in my experience has been too big for what I have in mind, so I'm going with huge galaxy size and then just a spiral type world. I'm not going to randomize in this case, but for everything else I figured I might as well make them all random, and I haven't decided what I want star frequency to be. I might want to make that random as well, possibly. Make things interesting. Because I don't want to try and min-max this here. This is just all for entertainment purposes. Trying to be adaptive. Trying to get the most out of basically trying to get the best out of random situations there. And trying to utilize my strengths to come out on top. So, victories, we're going to unlock everything. Even the turn limit I might as well leave on there. It doesn't even give an option to kind of adjust anyway, so I'm going to assume that's, what is it, 1,000 turns I think it was? I can't remember. And I'm going to put Galaxy difficulty or the races on gifted. Let's see, game pacing I want to leave normal because I am not played enough of this to really know the difference there. So, Unite Planets I'm going to leave normal because I don't want to randomize that, considering it's like a council thing. And I think I want random minor races possibly, because that might be fun there. Because we could have no minor races at all, or we could have a bunch of them everywhere for it, basically to conquer or trade with. We'll have to see. I'm going to leave these fancy settings as they are, and all the races here we're going to throw in. So it's going to be a nice clustered mess. It's going to be free-for-all with everyone essentially, unless they decide to get an alliance with one another. So let us get started with this and hope nothing breaks. Because I had a few issues starting this up there where it kind of crashed on me a little bit. So fingers crossed. As we start this up. Officially and finally, I cannot wait to get this started. I am excited. I have been looking forward to this quite significantly there, especially with my Star Drive video was kind of slowly winding down a little bit with how slow the ending was, but the Cricoid Expanse. This is my backstory. There is a bit of a typo I see there that I forgot to correct. Let's see. When the Kry'klons survived near extinction ages ago, upon the death of their last queen, their drive to thrive had never been stronger. Naming their system to honor their savior emperor, the Expanse will swallow all in their way. The Kry'klons grow in size quickly. They are unified in their resolve to never repeat the mistakes of the past. They are efficient in what they do, so focused they are ignorant of the galaxy they are now a part of. Maybe I didn't say in the best dialect, but I didn't necessarily start practicing, so that's my fault. But strengths and weaknesses, that's just base summary there from what I already explained. So let's get this started finally. And of course the only downside is the initial vehicles are all, what is it? I didn't even talk about what race I chose in there, to be honest, now that I think of it. Or at least the visuals and all that. But the initial vehicles are kind of, I think it's the Kryn, I think it is. These are initially of. But I did design my own ships there, so let me just show them off there. First off, meet the builder. This is my construction ship. It's a bit awkward there because it's not necessarily centered. I can't really move it up any further, probably because that's where the center is, so it is a bit awkward. But this is my construction ship I'm going to be using, custom built. It looks a bit awkward with these kind of like antennas or these little poles here, whatever you want to call them, stacks or that, but I am definitely happy with it there. It's got a lot of source in the back. This is basically it in a nutshell. Going to be my builder of star bases, going to build my shipyards and all that good stuff. Next, we have my drone, which is going to be my scout ship. Like I said, I only built like the initial 3 vehicles there, the builder, the actual scout ship, and my colony ship. So everything else we're going to put on the video and record the process there, assuming it doesn't take too long. But this is the drone ship here. I kind of rushed this a little bit considering it's such a small ship anyway, so it's any flaws to it may not be as noticeable due to the size, but it is equipped with sensor array, it's got the life support, and of course hyperdrive for the usual scouting routine. And of course with the customization I could just swap out some of these down the road as needed. And now finally, my colony ship, the Pollinator, is pretty much the core of what an insectoid, at least kind of an honorable mention to my Operas essentially, because this reminds me a lot of the, the soldier frigate ships that have basically like bug-like wings, and this is pretty damn close to honoring it, with a little more emphasis on like an actual B shape there, because even the back there, while maybe not perfect, it does look like a Stinger in a sense. These are the original 3 ships I designed there. They may be a bit rough in areas if you notice those little flaws that I have, if you're a more experienced person watching this, especially with like unit design or 3D design in general there. But I'm hopeful to improve on this as the campaign goes on, because I got a lot more ships to build. And those are my original 3 ships. I think I'm going to retire or obsolete these other ones here, so I hopefully don't have to look at them for later on down the road. Because all the units I'm going to use are going to be all custom built. I'm not going to rely on the stock ones that are going to constantly show up for me. With that said, let's begin. So what is it? I also picked the starting for like Kryn worlds as well. So we start off with 2 class 4 worlds and a class 8 Earth-like capital. So that is what we start off with, and we got a nice close-up world for when I colonize that eventually. But I'm gonna start up colonizing this world here, Section 3. We're gonna colonize our first world, get our little cinematic out of the way. And let's see what we got. Ooh, this sounds promising. It increases the capacity of all my ships by 5%. Kind of pointless now, but how exactly does that work, though? I'm gonna have to ponder on that later, because I have absolutely no idea. The downside, though, is I can't utilize that for anything. So I have no idea how to get the full value out of. And I'm pretty limited on my options here, but like I said, I think I want to start influence, because I think I'll use my capital to be my main production world until I get these more optimized. My shipyard, of course, I'm going to get another pollinator, but I'm going to rush that so I can get both those going right away. I have been testing like the very first few turns of this game here, so I got a good idea what I want to do with that. But after the first 10, 15, 20 turns, I have not really practiced, so it'll be a little bit question how well that goes. So there's what we have on the galaxy. And we really only have 2 directions we can go, because we got a bit of a gap here, which is going to be a bit hard to kind of travel. But thankfully, ooh, this is an amazing start, I gotta say. We got ourselves a class 12 planet, which is a massive improvement to my capital there. So this is an amazing start for me, I gotta say. And that, well, that doesn't quite have the range to really reach out there, but I could potentially rush another pollinator to go there too, which might not be a bad idea. Only thing I will need to really understand before I get too crazy with that is understand how the income works. So there's going to be a lot of trial and error and trying to understand the nuances here as we get going. And if this is any indication, I think the random sayings allow for a lot of nebulas and clouds, it seems like, so I gotta be careful of them. Especially that radiation storm. Oh, there's a wormhole in there too. Huh. That might be something I'll have to consider looking at some point. But otherwise, we are underway. Unfortunately, I could not find a way to change the scientist here, so we're stuck with like the traditional custom race bot there. So what do we have to look at there? I already know planetary improvement, because I've been basically going to that there for the soil upgrade, terraforming the farms, to help with growth. We have factories, which are basic upgrade factories. We have the travel. I don't think I need just yet. Definitely don't need warfare. And commerce is something I'll have to look into and try and understand when I want to dive into that to kind of increase my income, essentially. Because I don't know how maintenance and taxation is going to be, but that might hinder me a bit in the long term if I'm not careful. So I'm going to stick with what I always been starting with, because I think I like as a start there, because it opens up Xeno farms, at least on my capital there. But I don't know where exactly tech is to kind of increase happiness and food growth. Well, I already know where food growth is because I'm researching a farm. Who am I kidding? Oh, this is my capital. I didn't even look at that yet. Wow, we got 2 Helios ore. If I know how to take advantage of that, that's 10% could actually pay off for me quite heavily there for my ships. So I really will have to spend some time trying to understand how to utilize that, how exactly that capacity works. Or if it's just when I sponsor or have the resources from these worlds sent to my shipyard. Maybe that's all that needs to be done. I'm not sure. Otherwise, what do we have here? 3% influence. That's perfect for that. So that might be a good way to start. And that's plus 3 to wealth. So that could single-handedly solve my income problem there. Let's see. Do I want to start with the factory right away? Or do I want to get the extra boost from that first? Probably want to get that boost. Get started on influence a little bit. Like I said, I have no clue if that's the best way to start or not. But it seems like a promising way when you have such a boost like that. Instant 3 levels to your influence growth. So I'll happily take it. Alright. It's going to be a bit of a slow start there. I think I'll I think I'll leave the population at 2. Because I'm going to be taking more citizens when... Actually, let me take it all from the homeworld there. So that way I don't steal it from my other colony ship. That might be a good idea. Something I haven't really considered first, and if only that was decided to deploy down here, or in any other hex really would have been better. Let's see. Oh, there's a rally point, so maybe that'll help. Let's see. I don't know how exactly this works. Okay, I can zoom in and pan with the middle mouse, but it doesn't want to tell me, damn it. I'm not sure how this works. That is unfortunate. Okay, never mind that. I'll look into that later so I don't waste too much time. And I think I want to, at some point, look at that debris there too. It certainly does not hurt. Shipyards idle. Now the question, do I rush another pollinator? I think I do. I have the money for it, so why not help? Why not do it, in all honesty? And I just want to... Okay. I can pick regions. Okay, that explains. There, that works better actually. And then I'll start there and then I can control it. I would have hoped to be able to just set a rally somewhere in the middle of nowhere. That would have been better for me, I think. Quite frankly. Yeah, well. We'll get this underway there. And this is basically civilization-like, so I have a good sense of how that functions at least. Oh, yeah, the colony hasn't been done there, so I'll take from both of them this time there, so because I don't want to cripple my capital that quickly, even with its growth, because that basically dropped down to below half, so I've got to be careful of that, but I'll recover that relatively quickly, I think, in a good amount of time, but I believe that will pay off for me if I do that earlier rather than later. So we got ourselves Sekion 2. This seems relatively plain, so I can happily take that, and I need to get some kind of research, I guess, going. I'll just put the research here and then let that go for the time being until it finishes. And we got ourselves a lot of stuff to really learn and understand. And clearly, I'm top on the score chart because I have not encountered anyone else at all. Go figure. Now, let me build some of my drones for some scouting purposes there. I didn't really give them as much life support as, say, the starting scout ship that I'm using right now to scout, but it should do just fine there because these two ships could basically scout the top and bottom for me there, which gives a lot of room for my drones to essentially scout up this region to make up for their lack of range. So I'm okay with that. Like I said, it's going to be a bit of a slow start there, just trying to uncover everything and realize what kind of galaxy we're actually in. Heck, I don't even need to control these guys almost, so we'll just let it go rapidly. Let's see, and I would love to find out the rate at which these territory actually expands. If you could tell me somewhere. Yeah, okay, it tells me growth per turn, but I don't know what that means. 2.7, but I don't know how quickly that means it'll grow. So I'm not quite certain what that means. And we complete our Xeno farm, or the farming tech. Planetary improvements, so that's always a good start. So I can get going with the farms there. This is a tough choice I'm having. Do I want to increase the growth or the soil enhancement for a higher total population? That's the struggle I've been having here. Because growth could actually help me right now there, considering all my population's been hindered quite significantly from having the benefit of having a third colonizable world right next to me. But I think that may be short term with so many people there. So we'll see. I think I'll take it there.